He ruined my career in front of 100 people, but he didn't know I was recording everything. I never thought a single phone call could destroy a man's life. Not mine. His. But the worst part? I'm still not sure if I regret it. I've been working in tech support for over a decade now. The kind of job where nothing ever really feels stable. Software changes, systems evolve, and if you don't keep up, you disappear. Back then, I was working for a massive UK-based tech company. Fully remote team. Around 30 people spread across different countries. Good pay. Flexible hours. Honestly, I loved it. And I was good at it. I wasn't new either. I already had about 7 years of experience before joining. So while I had to learn the company's internal systems, I wasn't clueless. Most of my team? Helpful. Chill. Supportive. Except one guy. Shane. Every team has that guy. The legend. The guru. The one everyone goes to when things break and nobody else has answers. That was Shane. He'd been with the company for almost 40 years. People spoke about him like he was part of the infrastructure itself. He's the only one who knows this system. If Shane can't fix it, no one can. He's basically irreplaceable. And at first, yeah, I believed it too. When I started, Shane actually helped me quite a bit. If I got stuck, he'd jump in, explain things, guide me. He knew everything about the old systems, the legacy tools that the company had been running for years. We weren't friends or anything, but things were smooth. Normal. Then I met Mel. Well, not in person, we were all remote, but over calls. Mel was different. Same experience level as Shane. Same deep knowledge. But she didn't act like she owned the place. She was easy to talk to. Funny. Smart. Over time, she became my closest friend on the team. One day, we were on a call fixing some random issue. The usual boring stuff. But after we were done, we just stayed on the call. Talking. About work. About life. About the team. That's when she told me something interesting. She had actually met Shane in real life once, at a tech conference in New York. And what she said next stuck with me. Shane's not doing great, she said. I asked what she meant. She hesitated for a second, then told me the truth. He was severely overweight. Around 450 pounds. Serious health issues. At home, he was often on oxygen. Medication. Struggling. His plan? Just survive long enough to retire early. Because once he retired, he wouldn't have to worry about medical insurance anymore. At the time, I didn't think much of it. It actually made sense. The guy had given 40 years to the company. He just wanted to coast to the finish line. Fair enough, right? That's when everything changed. About 2 years into my job, the company made a big move. They decided to shift away from the old systems and introduce completely new software, new tools, new architecture, new everything. For most people, this was stressful. For me, it was an opportunity. Think about it. All of a sudden, experience didn't matter as much anymore. Even the guru had to start from zero. For the first time, everyone was on equal ground. So I went all in. I spent hours learning the new system, reading documentation, testing things, breaking things, fixing them again. Late nights, weekends. I wasn't just trying to learn it. I was trying to master it. And it worked. Slowly, people started coming to me instead of Shane. Hey, can you check this? Do you know how this works? Can you jump on a call? Meanwhile, Shane didn't adapt. At all. He stuck to the old systems like they were life support. Ignored the new tools. Avoided training sessions. In team meetings, you could feel it. That quiet frustration. That shift. For the first time in decades, Shane wasn't the most important guy in the room anymore. And that's when the small things started. At first, it was subtle. Petty. Almost childish. If I joined a meeting late, even by a minute, he'd interrupt everything just to say, "Oh look, he finally decided to show up." Even if my delay was because I was helping a customer. Even though he'd done the same thing dozens of times. Emails. Same thing. If I sent something to the team, even something important, he'd reply with random complaints. Unrelated issues. Trying to derail the conversation. Make me look careless. Unprofessional. At first, I ignored it. I thought maybe I was overthinking it. But it didn't stop. It got worse. One day, Mel called me out of nowhere. Her voice sounded serious. "What's going on between you and Shane?" I was confused. "What do you mean?" She paused, then said, "He's been talking about you." That caught my attention. I told her the truth. I have no problem with him. I don't know why he's acting like this. She didn't say much after that. Just one thing before hanging up. "I'll see what I can find out." That call stuck with me. Because up until that moment, I thought this was just workplace friction, ego, maybe insecurity. But now, it felt different, personal, and I had no idea that this quiet tension was about to explode into something that would change both of our lives forever. I fixed the problem, but he took the credit and blamed me for everything. For 2 years, I stayed quiet. I ignored the comments, the sarcasm, the passive-aggressive emails. Because in my head, I had already won. People were coming to me now. I was becoming the go-to guy. And Shane? He was fading. But I didn't realize something important. People like Shane don't just fade away quietly. They fight back. It happened on a random weekday. No warning. No build-up. Just chaos. A major system outage hit. And when I say major, I mean company-level disaster. Customers couldn't access critical services. Systems were failing. Alerts were going crazy. Within minutes, what started as a small issue turned into a full-blown emergency. In our world, this is called a major incident. And when that happens, everything changes. Suddenly, it's not just your team anymore. It's everyone. Senior engineers, managers, directors, even people you've never heard of before. Within 20 minutes, there were over 100 people on the call. The pressure? Insane. Every second mattered. Because if this outage wasn't fixed quickly, the company could lose millions in penalties. Our manager jumped in and started organizing teams. All right, we split into groups. Each group takes a different part of the system. Then she paused and said something that made my stomach drop. You two work together on this. Me and Shane. Out of everyone she could have paired me with, it had to be him. I muted my mic for a second and just stared at the screen. Then I unmuted. Yeah, sure. Professional. Calm. Controlled. Inside, I already knew this wasn't going to go well. We jumped into a private call. No small talk. No greetings. Just straight into the issue. Check the logs, I said. Silence. A few seconds later, Shane replied. Which logs? That was the first red flag. I thought maybe he misunderstood. So I clarified. The application logs. New system. Another pause. Longer this time. I don't have access to those. Second red flag. I gave him access. Walked him through where to go, what to click, what to look for. Then I asked him to check a basic configuration. Something anyone familiar with the system should know. He didn't know how. At that moment, everything clicked. This wasn't just lack of experience. This wasn't still learning. He knew nothing about the new system. 2 years. And he had learned nothing. Meanwhile, the main call was getting more intense. Messages flying. People asking for updates. Pressure building. And I was stuck. Teaching the team guru how to do basic tasks. I made a decision. Just watch my screen, I said. I shared my screen and took over. Now I was moving fast. Going deep into the system. Logs. Error traces. Config files. Explaining everything as I went. Not because I wanted to teach him, but because I wanted proof. Minutes passed. Then suddenly, I saw it. A pattern in the logs. An error repeating over and over again. I followed it deeper, step by step, until finally, there it was. The root cause. A recent patch we had deployed. Something had gone wrong during installation. It was breaking the system. I leaned back for a second, heart racing. This was it. We found it. I explained everything to Shane. Slowly, clearly, even told him what the fix would likely be. Then, he went silent. A second later, he dropped from the call. Disconnected. I frowned, but didn't think too much of it. Our system was glitchy sometimes. Calls dropped. It happens. So I kept working. Documented the issue. Prepared the fix. Because there was a process. You don't just roll things back in a major incident. You need approval. Once I had everything ready, I rejoined the main call. And the moment I did, everything exploded. What were you thinking? The incident manager's voice hit me like a punch. I froze. What? You deployed a broken patch and refused to fix it? My brain couldn't process what I was hearing. What are you talking about? I said. Then someone else jumped in. Shane already explained everything. My chest tightened. Explain what? And then it hit me. While I was working, while I was finding the problem, while I was literally explaining the solution to him, Shane had gone back to the main call and told everyone that the outage was my fault, that I made a mistake during deployment, that he had found the issue, and that I refused to fix it. For a few seconds, I couldn't even speak. Over 100 people on that call. Managers, directors, people way above my level. And they believed him. Because of his reputation. Because of his 40 years. Because he was the guru. And me? I was just some guy. I tried to explain. Tried to tell them what actually happened. But it didn't matter. Every time I spoke, I got shut down. Now is not the time for excuses. Just fix it. We'll deal with this later. Later. That word stuck in my head. Because I already knew. Later wasn't going to be good for me. We got approval. Rolled back the patch. System stabilized. Crisis over. Everyone relaxed. Started thanking each other. And then, they thanked Shane. For stepping up. For identifying the issue. For preventing a bigger disaster. I just sat there. Listening. Silent. Because at that moment, I understood something very clearly. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't confusion. This was intentional. He didn't just try to discredit me. He tried to destroy me. And the worst part? It worked. A few days later, I was called into a meeting and given a formal warning. No investigation. No deep dive. Just Shane's word against mine. And his word meant more. I walked out of that meeting with one thought in my head. Not anger. Not frustration. Something colder. Revenge. Because if there was one thing I knew for sure now, this wasn't over. And next time, I wouldn't be unprepared. He thought the call wasn't being recorded. That's when he told me everything. I didn't sleep that night. Or the next. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard it again. What were you thinking? You deployed a broken patch. Shane already explained everything. Over and over. Like a loop. I kept replaying the incident in my head. Every second. Every detail. And no matter how many times I went through it, the ending didn't change. He won. Not because he was right. Not because he was better. But because people believed him. That's when I realized something dangerous. In a corporate world, truth doesn't matter. Proof does. And I had none. A few days passed. Work went back to normal. Or at least, it pretended to. People still came to me for help. Still asked me about the new system. But something had changed. There was doubt now. A hesitation in their tone. A pause before trusting my answers. And I could feel it. That invisible damage. The kind that doesn't show up on reports. But slowly kills your reputation. Then my phone rang. Mel. I picked up immediately. Hey. Her voice was different. Lower. Serious. You need to hear this. My chest tightened. What happened? She took a breath. Then said something that made my blood boil. I just got off a call with Shane. I didn't say anything. And he was laughing. That word hit me harder than anything else. Laughing. He was bragging about it, she continued. Saying he put you in your place. My jaw clenched. What exactly did he say? She hesitated. Then repeated it. He said you were getting too confident. Acting like you were better than everyone. He said someone needed to remind you how things work. I felt my hands tighten. And the worst part, she added quietly. He knows he can get away with it. Silence. Because deep down, I knew she was right. Then she said something that changed everything. I wish I had recorded that call. I let out a short, bitter laugh. Yes, same. She sighed. You can't anyway. Skype shows when you're recording. And right there, in that exact moment, something clicked. A thought. Simple. Sharp. Dangerous. I didn't respond for a second. Then I said quietly, yeah. But in my head, a plan was already forming. Because Skype shows when you're recording. But not everything does. And suddenly, I knew exactly what I needed to do. That night, I installed a program. Simple. Free. Powerful. A screen recorder. It didn't notify anyone. Didn't show any warning. It just recorded. Video. Audio. Everything. And the next morning, I made my move. I messaged him. Hey, got a minute to talk? 3 dots appeared almost instantly. Sure, slightly smiling face. That smiley face. Fake. Smug. Confident. He had no idea what was coming. I started the call. But before I said anything, I pressed record. Not on Skype. On my own software. Silent. Invisible. Then, I did something very intentional. I'm recording this call, I said. And right on cue, the Skype notification popped up. Recording in progress. There it was. The safety net. The illusion. Now he knew he had to be careful. And just like I expected, he played dumb. I went straight in. Why did you lie about the incident? Silence. Then, confusion. I don't know what you mean. His voice was calm. Controlled. I mean the outage, I said. You told everyone it was my fault. Another pause. Then the classic move. I'm sorry you feel that way. That sentence. Corporate language for. I'm not admitting anything. I think we should bring this up with management, he added. Of course he did. Because right now, He was protected. The recording, the rules, the system. But that's exactly what I wanted. I let him talk. Let him build his little wall. Then I said, wait a second. I clicked. Turned off the Skype recording. The notification disappeared. Silence filled the call. Then I spoke again. It's off now. A pause. Longer this time. He's not recording anymore, I added casually. And then, everything changed. You could hear it. That shift. That tiny crack in his voice. The mask. Slipping. And then he said it. Well, you needed to be put in your place. I didn't react. Didn't interrupt. Just let him talk. Because now, he thought he was safe. You were getting too big for your boots, he continued. Acting like you're the best one here. There it was. The truth. Raw. Ugly. You think just because you learned some new software, he scoffed, that you can replace people who've been here for decades? My heart was pounding, but my voice stayed calm. So you lied? He didn't even hesitate. I did what I had to do. That sentence felt heavy, like something breaking. You have to respect people who've been here longer, he went on. That's how this works. Respect. That word again. Except what he meant wasn't respect. It was control, fear, hierarchy. And I'd do it again, he added. No hesitation. No regret. Just pure arrogance. At that moment, I almost ended the call. Because I already had enough. More than enough. But something inside me wanted to push further. So I did. You didn't even know how to use the system, I said. I had to walk you through everything. That hit him. His tone changed. Sharper. Defensive. I don't need to learn that crap, he snapped. I'm 2 years away from retirement. There it was again. The truth behind everything. He didn't care. Didn't want to learn. Didn't want to adapt. He just wanted to survive. Coast. And anyone who threatened that had to go, even if it meant destroying them. I leaned back in my chair. And for the first time, I smiled. Because now, I had him. Completely. So you risked my career for that? I asked quietly. For what? Comfort. Silence. Then he said something I'll never forget. You're young. You'll recover. That was it. That was the moment. The exact second. I stopped seeing him as a coworker and started seeing him as a threat. A real one. I took a breath, then said one final thing. Ever heard of OBS? Pause. No. Google it. And before he could say anything else, I hung up. The recording was still running. And on my screen was everything. Every word. Every lie. Every confession. Clear. Undeniable. Proof. Real proof. I sat there, staring at the file, knowing one thing for sure. This wasn't just revenge anymore. This was going to end him. He begged me not to send the recording, but it was already too late. I didn't send the recording right away. That's the part people don't expect. You'd think I hit upload instantly. Expose him. Destroy him. End it. But I didn't. Instead, I just sat there, staring at the file. It was all in front of me. Every lie. Every insult. Every admission. Crystal clear. Proof. The one thing I didn't have before. And now that I had it, everything felt different. Because this wasn't just about clearing my name anymore. This was power. The kind of power that could completely ruin someone. I leaned back in my chair, closed my eyes, and for the first time since the incident, I felt calm. Not happy. Not satisfied. Just calm. Then my computer pinged. A message. From him. Shane. My eyes locked onto the screen. Please tell me you didn't record that. I didn't reply. Another message. Look, we can sort this out. Another. You don't need to make this a bigger issue. Then the tone changed. Listen, I'm serious. And then finally, please. I stared at that word longer than I should have. Please. The same man who stood in front of 100 people and destroyed me without hesitation was now begging. I typed back. Slowly. You should have thought about that before the incident. 3 dots appeared instantly, then disappeared, then appeared again. He was panicking. I'll lose everything, he wrote. My job. My retirement. I didn't respond. Another message. My medical benefits. I need them. That one hit differently. For a split second, I remembered what Mel had told me months ago. The oxygen. The medication. The plan to just survive until retirement. For a moment, my finger hovered over the keyboard. Then I typed. You didn't think about my career. Send. Silence. No reply. And just like that, the decision was made. I forwarded the recording. To management. To HR. To anyone who needed to see it. No message. No explanation. Just the file. And then, I waited. The next few days felt strange. Too quiet. No comments from Shane. No emails. No passive-aggressive remarks. Nothing. It was like he had disappeared. Then the meeting invite came. HR investigation, mandatory attendance. I joined the call. Cameras off. Voices serious. They played the recording. Not all of it. Just enough. Enough to hear him say, "I did what I had to do. I'd do it again. You're young. You'll recover." Silence filled the call. The same silence I had felt when I was being accused. But this time, it wasn't directed at me. They asked me a few questions. Basic ones. Then they brought him in. I'll never forget his voice. It was different. No confidence. No arrogance. Just fear. He tried to explain. Said it was taken out of context. Said he was frustrated. Said he didn't mean it. But it didn't matter. Because this time, there was proof. Real proof. And without his reputation to hide behind, he had nothing. The investigation didn't take long. A couple of weeks later, the result came in. He was terminated. Immediately. No retirement package. No benefits. Just gone. I sat there reading the email, and I expected to feel something. Relief. Satisfaction. Victory. But instead, I felt empty. Because deep down, I knew this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. A few days later, Mel called me. Her voice was quiet. "He's been trying to reach people," she said. I didn't reply. He asked if there was any way to reverse it, take early retirement instead. I already knew the answer. They said no. Silence. Then she added something I wasn't ready to hear. "He's in bad shape." I swallowed. "What do you mean?" She hesitated. "He doesn't have the money for treatment anymore." That sentence lingered. Because now, this wasn't just about work. This was real life. Weeks passed. Then months. Work moved on. New issues. New projects. New problems to solve. And slowly, people forgot. At least on the surface. But every now and then, I'd think about it. That call. That recording. That moment I hit send. And wonder if I'd gone too far. Then one evening, my phone rang. "Mel." I answered. She didn't say hello. Just one sentence. "He's gone." My chest tightened. What? He died. The room felt smaller. How? His health, she said quietly. He couldn't afford the treatment anymore. Silence. Long. Heavy. 6 months. That's all it took. 6 months from the day he was fired to the day he died. I didn't say anything because there was nothing to say. After we hung up, I just sat there, staring at nothing. Because for the first time, I realized something I hadn't fully accepted before. My actions didn't just end his career. They accelerated everything. His plan, his survival, his timeline. Gone. And the worst part? I wasn't innocent. But I wasn't guilty either. Because if I hadn't sent that recording, what would have happened? He would have kept going, kept lying, kept destroying people who threatened him. Maybe next time, it wouldn't have been me. Maybe it would have been someone younger, less experienced, someone who couldn't fight back. I exhaled slowly. Because this wasn't a simple story. There was no clean ending, no perfect justice, just consequences. For him, for me, and a lesson I'll never forget. No matter how experienced you are, no matter how powerful you think you've become, the moment you start playing dirty, you're already losing. I'm still at the company, still doing the same job. But one thing changed. Whenever someone new joins the team, I make sure of one thing. They never feel the way I felt. Because cycles like that, they only end when someone decides not to repeat them. And maybe that's the only good thing that came out of all of this.